Hi and welcome to lesson 2 in our series of 4 videos looking at the formal letters in the CAE exam. My name's Peter Travis from Flo-Joe, and in this lesson we're focusing on features of organisation. There are 4 lessons in all, and I'd recommend watching them in order if you can. So if you haven't seen lesson 1 yet, try completing that first. We'll use one of the example tasks from lesson 1 again here, a letter of reference. In the previous lesson, in lesson 1, we concentrated on spotting the key content. That's information we needed to respond to in our letter. If you haven't done this yet, pause the video now and make a note of the key points in this task. Okay, so this is the key information we identified last time in lesson 1. As we saw then, we'd need to respond to all of these points in our letter if we wanted to score well in terms of content and communicative achievement. These are 2 of the 4 assessment criteria used by the examiner. A third criteria, organisation, concerns your overall organisation of the piece of writing. Now this includes using logical paragraphs, for example, as well as clear organisation of ideas within paragraphs. You do this using linking words, discourse markers and other devices. In this lesson we'll look at paragraphing and also at these additional organisational features. But before we move on, how would you organise the paragraphs in your letter if you were answering this question? Pause the video and think about how you might organise the points in red into logical, coherent paragraphs. So for example, how many paragraphs would you have? Which paragraphs would deal with which issues? Okay, let's try planning our overall organisation. The questions on the right and our at present empty piece of paper is on the left. Now one suggestion, and it is only a suggestion, there are other ways to approach this letter, but one idea is to organise this around 2 or 3 content paragraphs, along with an opening and closing paragraph. So 4 or 5 paragraphs in total. Now the first paragraph is obviously going to deal with our reason for writing, in this case to write a reference for a friend. Now in a letter of reference or a letter of application, the first main content paragraph is usually spent outlining the person's skills and experience, perhaps including any relevant qualifications they might have. So we could answer the sections highlighted in red on the right in this first content paragraph. Then we could go on to look at the person's character and their qualities, their personal qualities. In this paragraph we could write our answer to these highlighted points. We could deal with our friend's suitability for the post in these 2 paragraphs if we wanted to. Or we could choose to have a third content paragraph where we emphasise the person's strengths once again, such as in this example. Finally, we'd end the letter with a closing remark such as, "Please let me know if you have any further questions." Organising your paragraphs in a logical way like this would make the letter coherent overall, and it would give the reader a visual guide to your organisation, especially if you leave a line or a space between each paragraph. It would also help us deal with the main sections of the letter in a logical order. But what about how you express ideas within paragraphs? How can you link ideas in and between sentences? Let's look at some of the ways you can do this. Or the first methods are straightforward linking words that you've probably no doubt used in your writing for some time. Words or expressions like to begin with or in addition, for example or for instance. These enable you to link ideas simply and effectively. The assessment criteria often refers to discourse markers. These are just slightly higher level linking words or expressions such as moreover, furthermore, or by way of example. Look at the gaps in the text on the left. Where could you use these linking words and discourse markers to complete the text? Pause the video if you need to. Okay, well done if you match them correctly. But a word of warning, there's always the danger that you can overuse devices like this, with the result that your writing seems inauthentic or unnatural. So let's look at some other cohesive devices you can use to help you organise your ideas. Reference pronouns like this, that, they or it are commonly used to refer backwards to something or someone just mentioned. And then of course relative clauses can be used to give added information to a statement, and they also allow you to link ideas together in well-formed sentences. So how might reference and relative pronouns be used to complete the gaps in the text on the left? Again, well done if you spotted these. Other forms of cohesive devices include things like substitution. This is where you use a synonym, for example, to refer backwards or forwards to a related point in the text. So in this example, the latter refers to the use of social media and enables the writer to skillfully link these two sentences. Another sign of advanced writing skills is your ability to organise clauses in your sentences in various ways in order to emphasise a particular point. In the example here, the clause beginning because appears first, so we can emphasise the person's customer-centred attitude. So using paragraphs and a variety of cohesive devices effectively will help you score well in terms of organisation. When you're reading, make a point of looking out for cohesive devices like the ones we've looked at in this lesson. Okay, that's the end of this lesson. When you have time, try our third video which looks at the use of formal language. If you think you'd benefit from having model answers to CAE style writing tasks, find out more about Flo-Joe's CAE Exam Success Plus, which contains lots of typical exam questions, tips on how to answer each one, and an interactive sample answer with further tips and advice. And if you're studying for CAE on your own and need feedback on your writing skills, find out more about our CAE Writing Critique and Correction service at the address below.